Welcome to Vendrell's Card Realignment Center, where we believe your cards have been working far too hard. Look at this poor thing. Vertical, all day, every day. Do you know what kind of strain that puts on a card's spine? Forced to endure the kind of suffering of paying 1 mana for heuristic studies tax? Well, here at Vendrell's, we have a different philosophy. Our premium treatment plan ensures that every single card that enters your battlefield does so in a state of complete relaxation. Battles? Horizontal. Rooms? Horizontal. Split cards? You guessed it, horizontal. Even your lands come in sideways. Here at Vendrell's, we promise 3 things. Relaxed cards, superior gameplay, and, well, actually I can't promise superior gameplay, but I can promise you one of the weirdest commander decks I've ever built. Let's have a look. Normally, the start of these videos is where I tell you all about our commander, but this deck doesn't start with the commander. Instead, it starts with the other 99 cards in the deck, where every single one of them enters sideways. That's right, we're talking split cards, battles, rooms, even cards like guild gates, which are made to look punctual in this deck. But at Vendrell's Card Realignment Center, we do need someone to manage the facility, so let's see who we've got. But before we dive into the facility, why don't you let me know your favorite sideways card in the comments down below. I'll pin my favorite one, and while you're down there, why not hit subscribe? Now let's look at Marina Vendrell. Marina Vendrell is a 3/5 human warlock for Wooburg that reads, when Marina Vendrell enters, reveal the top 7 cards of your library, put all enchantment cards from among them into your hand, and then the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. So she shows up, digs through the deck, takes all the enchantments, and throws the rest in the basement. As rooms are enchantments, this is fantastic fixing and card advantage. Better yet, she can tap to unlock or lock a room that we control, giving us a free premium upgrade and letting us dodge those hefty mana costs. Thing is though, this isn't a rooms deck. It's not even an enchantress deck. It's just a deck where every card enters sideways, which yes, is a completely unhinged deck building restriction. But here's the problem. I searched through every single card in Magic and I couldn't find a creature that enters sideways. And no, I'm not including Big Furry Monster. So for that reason, how do we even establish a board? Well, we outsource it to the multiverse. Cards like Invasion of Kaladesh are the most basic form of getting creatures into play. When it enters, it makes a 1/1 Thopter. Terrifying. Invasion of New Phyrexia, Segovia, and Bellanon all do similar things. They enter sideways, and they make tokens, and they help us build our board. It's not just battles joining the fun though. Rooms help too. Experimental Lab, Slimy Aquarium, and Ticket Booth all manifest dread, putting a 2/2 into play and giving us a peek at the top of our library. Grand Entryway creates a glimmer, Spiked Corridor straight up makes some devils, and Misty Salon makes a spirit that gets stronger with each room that you unlock. Once you start attacking with all these creatures, Dollmaker's Shop generates you a toy each combat to keep the token army flowing. We've even got non-permanents that help us out. Alive and Well and Beck and Call will bring some kind of creature token to the battlefield for whatever it is we're doing, but hopefully you're starting to see the gimmick. But the thing is, all of these tokens just make a bunch of 1/1s or 1/2s or generally very small and weak stuff. So let's look at ways we can buff them up. Armed and Dangerous and Flower and Flourish both provide temporary buffs to our attacking creatures, letting us push through with huge chunks of damage. For something more permanent, Staff Room and Hospital Room give us counters, but the real star here is Invasion of Moag. When it enters, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control. Soon, you'll find that your tokens are a bit more powerful and your board of sideways cardboard a little bit more threatening. Of course, a deck like this needs card advantage to keep the pieces flowing. Invasion of Vryn and Drowned Diner let you loot, while Invasion of Ergamon and Invasion of Mercadia let you rummage, giving you perfect ways to sculpt the perfect hand. Impulse Draw also makes the list with Painter's Studio and Charred Foyer, and if you manage to unlock Warped Space, you'll get to cast one of those exiled spells for free each turn. Now that's pure value. And while I love making strange and weird decks, sometimes finding the cards for it can be a bit of a headache, but that's why I use the smart Magic the Gathering search engine, Card Mystic. For this deck, I simply searched for rooms, battles, and split cards and was given nearly every single card in the categories. I could look through them and find the ones that I loved. Then, when I found one I really liked, I could hit the Similar Cards button to find even more like it. Thanks again to Card Mystic for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the build. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the mana base. When I said that the Vendrell Card Realignment Center is all about card relaxation, I meant it. And for that reason, we're running 0 basic lands. Hey, they enter untapped. So let's have a look at what we're working with. Because basics enter upright, we're relying on a beautifully colourful array of triomes, such as Jetmir's Garden and Xander's Lounge, tapped tri-lands like Opulent Palace, and actual, literal garbage like Bog Wreckage and Seafloor Debris, just to guarantee that they enter tapped. Our only true ramp comes from Smoky Lounge, giving us 2 red each turn, and Invasion of Ergamon, which gives us a treasure. If you need fixing, you better hope you draw Greenhouse Rickety Gazebo, which makes your lands tap for any colour. Look, our mana base isn't great, but at least we've got thematic integrity. And that's more that can be said than the guy adding a Sephiroth to his Chatterfang deck. But I know what you're thinking. When our opponents realize that we're the weak one at the table, they'll probably come for us. So how are we going to answer them? Well, sideways, of course. Split cards are absolute workhorses here. Catch and Release steals a permanent and then forces a mass sacrifice. Far and Away bounces a threat and makes someone sacrifice. Crime and Punishment wipes the board of whatever mana value is currently ruining your day. And if you really, really hate the combo player, Hide and Seek lets you go straight into their library and exile their win condition. The rooms pull double duty too. Bottomless Pool bounces a creature. Restricted Office acts as a board wipe for big creatures, and Roaring Furnace is just repeated damage to creatures and players. So we've slowed the game down, made a whole bunch of weird tokens, and our opponents are pretty confused by all of our tap plans. So how do we actually win? Well, our win con comes from battles and unlocking key rooms. Our first and most obvious win con is Promising Stairs, which will let us win the game in our upkeep if we have 8 rooms with different names unlocked. Easy. If we can resolve and flip Invasion of Alara, we get Awaken the Maelstrom, which essentially draws us cards, destroys an opponent's permanent, and dumps a massive buff onto our field. We can also rely on Funeral Room Awakening Hall. We can start draining our opponents for massive amounts of life every time one of our many token creatures dies in combat. Pair that with Defiled Crypt, Cadaver Lab to keep generating zombies, and we have a sideways value engine that can slowly crush the table. So there you have it, Marina Vendrell and a 5-color deck full of cards that, to be honest, probably just need a nap. But if you want to try out a different commander and you're willing to drop the red and white, then there's a perfect alternate commander that you can try out for this deck. Let's have a look at it. Arkelos Lagoon Mystic is a 2/4 legendary turtle shaman for Sultai. His ability reads, as long as Arkelos is tapped, other permanents enter the battlefield tapped. As long as Arkelos is untapped, other permanents enter the battlefield untapped. If you pivot to Arkelos, you do lose the red and white rooms and battles that are pretty strong, but you gain a pretty good political tool. Plus, you get to make all of your opponent's stuff enter sideways too, so you can force the whole table to relax. If you enjoyed this video, then hit like, and if you've got any questions, comments, or any ideas for any future decks, leave them in the comments down below. And while you're down there, why not hit subscribe? Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you around. Bye.